Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well. And welcome back to another Arsenal show where Arsenal, once again, sitting pretty at the top of the lead, top of the league, with a 4-point gap between them and second placed Manchester City, thanks to a massive 1-0 win in ugly circumstances. But that's a Tottenham masterclass, as I've been hearing, and it's the truth. That's a Conte masterclass, and we've done a Conte masterclass. And Arteta had to roll back the years. When I say years, maybe by about 2 years ago, in terms of how Arsenal had to play in that second half. But Arsenal managed to grab the win. I hope you're keeping good, people. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and a fantastic Monday as well. The beginning of a new week, another week where Arsenal are top of the league. And what we about a minute into this stream already, and you've already heard me mention Arsenal being top of the league twice already. But yes, people, it's another Arsenal show. And I've got my guests coming on. They're not here as of yet, but because we're short for time, I've had to roll it already and get it started. But I hope you're keeping good. To those of you watching back, hope you're keeping well. We're going to get this out on an audio format too, so stay tuned, people. We've got plenty coming up. We're going to be trying to move these on to the audio format, and I hope you're having a good time. And there's plenty of content to come. Me and my brother Edmund, if you are familiar to the channel, we did our preview show. We pre-recorded it today, and you'll be seeing it coming out tomorrow. So make sure you get your predictions ready for the Predictions League. But now we're here to talk all things Arsenal. And I've got my brother. So, guys, if I could play Return of the Mac and not get copyright strike, I would, because this is a return of a king himself. And you know what? Without further ado, let me bring him onto the show. Let's hope all the audio is all good. My brother.
What an introduction, man.
How you doing, my man? You all good?
I'm good. I do feel like I'm catching up with the cold weather.
Oh no. Yeah, we're both in jumpers at the moment. That kind of
Yeah.
says it all, really. But have you seem like you're getting a cold as well?
Yeah. I can see it's coming, through the throat. But
Yeah.
we move. I'm happy to be here, bro.
Exactly. And I'm happy that you're here as well. People, if you haven't done so already,
Oh
you
yeah,
know
that
what to
hoodie
go
is
and
sick,
do.
by the way.
I appreciate it, bro. I haven't backed out for almost a year, that's why. So it looks brand new, but I
Yeah.
appreciate that. It matches with the cap as well, you know what I mean? Black
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
gold.
could tell.
Bit like Arsenal's
Things on
away kit.
point.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Fair play.
But yeah, people, if you haven't checked it out already, you got to go and subscribe to King's Football Show. Me and King did a match reaction with a little bit of, a lot of player ratings in there, not a little bit. And we spoke about the game and certain circumstances. I'm sure we're going to touch up on a lot of those things tonight. After a good night's sleep, the emotions of the game has calmed down. And yeah, we get to look at things in a more analytical way and break things down. But King, overall, we'll start off with this. How are you feeling right now? Now the dust has settled a little bit on that massive win away at Leeds.
I'm really, really proud and happy with the team. As I said, like people, because we've started this season so well and we played so many good and electric games, fans kind of expect that then for every game. But during the season, it is impossible. Even if you go back to the greatest teams, your Man Cities, your Invincibles, your Chelseas, they've had games where they played ugly and scrapped a 1-0 victory. And it's important because these kind of games kind of counts more because you're now showing your opposition that even if we're not playing well, we're winning. So imagine what we do when we do play well, which we usually do. So I'm really happy. Yes, it was a bit controversial. We were a bit lucky, but I watched back some of the clips as well, and that first penalty, it was offside in the build-up play. So they shouldn't even have had that penalty. So fair play to Leeds and yes, in March they were up for it, and I do think that if they continue to play like that, they will be more than safe this season. I do think they've been a bit unlucky with the teams they've faced, but they'll kick on.
There you go, exactly that. We'll get into it. We'll get into the chronological order of the game and everything that happened because there's a lot to talk about. But before we do that, let's introduce each and every one of you that are in here live now watching in the comments, starting from the other side of North London, but he's based in Canada. My brother over there in Bobby K. Hope you're keeping good. He never sends red hearts because he hates anything red and his kids can't touch anything red or wear anything red, let alone look at this screen with a red background. Yeah, because he's Tottenham. So, but I hope you're keeping good, Bobby. Nice seeing you in here. Big up Ilias as well. Wow, you must be gassed. Look at that. Look at that picture right there in the avatar. I can see it's Mo Salah getting dragged down by Bernardo Silva, which wasn't given as a free kick, by the way. Ridiculous. But we'll talk about this game as well, people. Don't worry, I've got this in the notes. And we'll be talking about this game, the incidents that happened, and how it affects Arsenal as well. But he says it was just one of those games. Take the 3 points and get out. Exactly that. Just as it says in the title, Ilias, we move. Exactly. That's what we have to do. And look at Brad. He said it. He came on one of the shows while she was in Gambia King, and he said it. He said, "Forget this. I'm going out now." He says, "I'm saying it. We are challenging for the league."
So no more moving in silence.
No, not for Brad. No, not for Brad. Big up Munzi. Hope you're keeping good. And he also says, "Love the hat and the hoodie and the hat. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you." I thought I'd try and do the mix and match thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, appreciate it, man. Big up Mama G in here as well, saying love it with the 2 kisses. Hope you're keeping good, Mum. Nice seeing you in here, and thank you for dinner downstairs earlier.
Big up Mama G,
Exactly. It's snowing here in Michigan already. Pain, he says. Oof. It feels like it's snowing. You know what? It's actually been quite warm here today, here in the UK. Haven't you found it, King?
I've been inside. Like I wasn't feeling so well before, so.
You know what? And the fact that you're here, you know what I mean?
Nah, of course, I have to turn up for my guy, innit?
I really appreciate that one. And listen to the man himself, the king, without the crown on his head today, but it always belongs there. Saying like, share, subscribe, everyone. And last but not least, we've got Social DRG up in that place. Hope you're keeping well, Social. Hope you're keeping good. Exactly. Now, let's talk about this. And the first thing that happened in this game was nothing, because there was a power cut that caused a long delay. 40 minutes the delay was in the end for this game.
Yeah.
Bro, I wanted to ask you this in particular. Do you think that the long delay had an effect on Arsenal coming into this game and had an effect in terms of the performance?
I do think so, because we are a team who now thrives with energy. So usually we start the game excellent, and when it's like when you play a game and it gets a lot of fouls and you lose your momentum. We kind of lost the momentum for 40 minutes, and we kind of didn't get into our rhythm as we usually do.
Yeah.
And I think if we were the home team at the Emirates, big up Wilf, then I do think that the crowd could have helped us and give us some more energy. But because it was away from home as well, and we just played on Thursday and we didn't have any training session, I don't think it helped us.
Yeah, they needed more than just energy. They needed energy for the electrics as well, not just for the fans. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I do think that there was an effect in that, and I think that combined with going away to Norway throughout the week and having to deal with those, traveling away, not having a single training session, coming back and then having to travel again. Because in those situations, players. Sorry, I can hear myself back. That's all right. No worries.
That's me.
Yeah, I'll pop you on mute, bro. You see, I don't like the sound of my voice. This is why I got headphones on. But nah,
you got the best voice in YouTube. What you on?
Oh, you see this?
No, honestly. Will, am I lying?
No, you're not. You're not lying. You're not lying. You're not lying at all. Love his voice. But yeah, just before you carry on, King. Firstly, I want to know if I can blank off King's screen for 2 reasons, because I'm not talking to him. One, he beat me in the FPL in the draft, and I'm not happy about that. Yeah. You laugh your head off. Yeah. I'll find you. Better go back to Gambia, and you better go back to Gambia, because I blame the performance on King not being Gambia. That's my thing. I'm signing off now. I'm done with the show. See you later.
True.
So
Unbeaten whilst was in Gambia, you know. But yeah, I do think that it did have an effect combined with traveling away, and you know, all preparations going into this game is, you know, you want to try and have the fast start, try and end the game early. We'll talk about the first half as well for sure. Don't worry about that. But yeah, leading that up to the second half, it was just a long game and a long delay, and already a long week it has been. And I mentioned this in your stream last night. The Arsenal versus Liverpool game wasn't just draining physically with the intensity that these players were playing at, but emotionally as well, having to deal with the ups and downs and bringing and showing that character. And even after the game, like with all the talk around it, imagine the players would have been on cloud nine throughout all of that then. So the celebrations would have been crazy. And then, you know, getting yourself back up ready to go to Bodo Glimt, a tough place to go. By the way, I know in hindsight, it's easy to say that now after they gave us a good performance, but 14 games undefeated, 14 game winning run, not an undefeated one at their stadium. So yeah, difficult place. And then Ellen Road, when it gets rocking and you give them an opportunity, it's a difficult place. So yeah, the Power Cup was never going to stop their energy. But so yeah. Wilf, do you think that the Power Cup had any effect on our performance?
I think it did, because it's had the effect on my performance today, because I had a power cut and that's why I'm late. And now I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, I was on dinner duty. I just managed to get my daughter's dinner ready. I personally, I don't think so, because actually it's a level playing field, because both teams had the same delay. Both teams had to deal with that and the same career. And if anything, it may have or could have affected the Leeds fans, because they would have been up for it and bubbling and getting all their energy and all their excitement up for the game. And then minute in, they've got to bring that level down and then wait 40 minutes, and people are going to be chatting and doing this and blah, blah, and all the rest of it. Big up to everybody in the chat anyway. And blessings to you and King. Sorry for my rudeness. I personally, I don't think so, because that first half we started well. It was a decent enough first half. I think the malaise in the game was more due to Thursday than anything else. So yeah. I don't think it had that adverse effect. That wasn't the reason for it.
But yeah, when it comes to effects, and you know, we'll talk about this as well, because it kind of links in with Jesus, is sometimes the effect isn't immediate. And I think it did affect the second half in that way, because of the whole preparations. You know, when you're going for a warm-up, given the fact that you've had on Thursday, you warm up to be ready straight away for that game, and then you take that away. Reasons why we've had fast starts, those little intricacies that teams can't handle, is because we are very much attention to detail, and even in those things in the warm up. And I do think having that intensity, taking it away, and then going back in the first half, I can't really complain about that. But the second half, in terms of fatigue mixed in with those other factors, I do think it had an effect in that sense.
I don't know. I've got, for me, I think Arteta, with all that he's been through in his managerial, very short managerial career, I mean, what he's had to deal with, most people don't deal with in their first 5 years of management. In his first 2, he's had unprecedented stuff. I think he would have handled that well.
I don't think this is anything to do with Arteta, though. Like, this is
I think what he would have done in his innovative style would have kept them focused. I think he would have kept them focused.
It's not even about focus. It's about physical, like, fatigue. That's what I'm saying about, because...
This is what I'm saying. When I say focus, I think what the best managers do is they get you over that fatigue hump by making you believe you can run through brick walls. I mean, if you look at like World War II films as well, it's something that give you an analogy. when them man had been running on empty and absolutely shattered and whatever, a good general or commanding officer would get them to, a second wind.
Yeah, but that's
just my opinion.
This is at the top level though, where as we always talk about, it's always fine margins at the top level, and these things do affect those. These are fine margins that will affect those things, but we'll get into it now. Talking about the first half, because I thought the first half there was a lot of positive signs. We had fluidity in transition under pressure. It was playing really fast and fluid at points. Jesus had an opportunity that was before the goal even happened. We obviously scored our goal, which we pounced upon a Leeds mistake in that moment. And I thought for the first half, the one that I was thoroughly impressed with was Martin Ødegaard. His passes that he was playing, the quality of them. It's not even just about the types of passes he was making. Guys, I'm talking about the quality of pass. Whereas these are things where, it's when you played the game, you kind of understand it a little bit more in terms of, when you receive a ball, that ball makes that decision for you in how that ball's been played, that you are allowed to turn on, have a half turn. You don't need a second touch. Martin Ødegaard is elite at that. His weight of pass is something to behold of. I'm talking about Fabregas and David Silva levels. His weight of pass. God, yeah. It is amazing.
Well, you saw that in the Liverpool game. That Martinelli.
And in this game.
yeah. No, but I mean, I know you're talking about this game, but I'm just saying, to illustrate your point, and that it's not a fluke. He did that in the first minute of the game. He laid on a pass for that, and it's you've played. Sometimes you need to work your way into a game. He can do that from moment dot, and that shows his class. So it doesn't surprise me at all, and I totally agree with you on. I agree with you on the reference, the comparisons you made. He's on the trajectory for them levels.
Yeah. I mean, even if you watch the Man City Liverpool game, there was a chance there where Haaland and Foden, they came 3-on-1, but the pass from Haaland was so short that Foden couldn't go directly and shoot. And if he had passed better, then it was almost guaranteed a goal there. So I do hear what you're saying, that the angle, the weight of the pass, the timing of the pass, all of that is important. It's not just a pass with Martin Ødegaard, and he's mastered that.
Can I just say something that also is, illustrates your point, T? You saw that or the lack of that in the North London derby, and you saw that in the Liverpool game. And these are supposed to be these are a team that's been challenging for the title for the last 5 years, and one that's supposed to be up and they're third and all the rest of it, and how hard it was for them to do that throughout the game. Yet Martin Ødegaard does that week in, week out. Exactly that there. Was there anything, King, anything else that you saw in that first half that you wanted to mention?
I think Granit Xhaka, again, was very good. He was one of few players who had a lot of energy, showed a lot of leadership, as always. And you can just see how he's thriving in his new role. And, as we've said many times, he doesn't need to have the armband to be a leader. Like he leads the team, he leads the press, and he was good in that first half. I do think so. And I think that Gabriel as well was so good in that first half that they had to sub off Rodrigo. I think a lot of people missed that.
It's a very good point. It's very true in that sense. And what about you? Did you notice anything that you wanted to point out in that first half? Because we've got a couple talking points as well.
Just how we dealt with, because this is one of the first games where we're playing a team, arguably maybe Liverpool, that came at us full on, where we were away, and how we dealt with that. Being on the back foot, soaking up the pressure, where we're not the ones that That was a great point by Bargav, by the way. Where we had to be the counterpuncher in that first half, and how we dealt with that, which is, everybody's, you alluded to it earlier. We start fast and we go at teams and we go for the throw and whatever. This time it was a role reversal, and it showed how we have grown as a team to deal with that, and still control the game, or maybe not control the game, but be balanced in the game.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a very good point, and that's maturity. Wilf, that is where you can have different game states, because in the Premier League and in many different games, you've got to be able to manage different game states. And this is something that I will give Arteta credit, something over Pep. Right, because I don't think Pep Guardiola is not very good at managing game states. If it's not going his way, it's usually going the other south for him. And that's where a lot of people, question Pep with his in-game management. And Arteta, at a very early stage in his career, we've seen him win an FA Cup by being a counter-attacking side. We've seen him, challenge in for a top 4 place with players that aren't anywhere near the level, unfortunately, at that point, and even players that we was building around that lacked a little bit of that experience and needed that guidance, whereas now he's guided them so much, these guys kind of know and can take responsibility.
Sorry, I've just seen Ed's comment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Is it this one here at the bottom?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry. It totally threw.
Is that about Jesse? If those of you are listening, tell you what, I noticed Jesse's incredibly tight jeans. So tight, I could tell his religion. Wow. Big up Ed.
I apologise for interrupting you, team. Sweet me.
But nah, man, that's a great point. And that was the contrast between the first half and second half. And just a little point out, before we get into the goal, right? Oh, man, there was a wonderful counter attack in there. Well, it wasn't even a counter attack. We just played the ball throughout the back. I don't know if you've seen the clip. I shared it on my Twitter earlier, so go give that a follow, people. A little plug right there. But my words, and the referee pulled it for a free kick when they could have played the advantage.
Yeah.
That football is just ridiculous that we can play with, and this is when we're not at our best.
Yeah, no, it was amazing to see, and it just shows the potential of this team, and where we are now is because of the quality of football we are playing, and we just have to big up the manager. Arteta's impressed me so much, and it's beautiful to see, because when he joined us, people don't take things into context. So you join as a manager, you've never managed a senior team before in your life. You join a big team, arguably had the biggest crisis in modern history, in terms of the players we had, the players' contract, the relationship with the fans, the relationship with the media. Everything was just awful. And he managed to win a trophy in that first season. And yes, he finished 8th. But where were we supposed to finish? With a new manager who is going up against your Jose Mourinho, your Guardiola, your Klopp, your Nuno. Like, there was a lot of quality managers in the league back then, and
quality teams,
exactly. And then the season after, they started a project, didn't go that well. Start a new one, and you can see it. But it's like some people, they just want to hold on to. No, but he finished 8th twice. And they don't want to take anything into context. They don't want to see the progress, and they don't want to see that we've gone from players like your Lichtsteiner, your Socrates, your Mustafis, your Kolasinac. These players were starting for us. And when you look at the brand of football Arteta wants to play, you can't play that with these players. And that's why we were struggling so much to see his style of play. But there's no doubt that he has a style of play, that he's very knowledgeable, and that he's growing as a manager. I just had to give props to Mikel.
Yeah. Entirely.
I actually want to say something before I forget. I've put this in the chat. I actually think this could turn out to be one of the pivotal, most important games of the season. Yes, the Liverpool win and the North London derby, but I think this could turn out to be one of the most important, pivotal games of the season because it's a game that we would have lost or drawn last season. It shows the growth of this team and how much they've learned. And the wake-up call this will be with the fact of we need to keep our levels up, because if we drop them, teams are going to come us our blood. And we walked out of that game with a bloody nose and could have lost it or drawn it or dropped points. Wherever we finish, however we finish, and if it is a really successful season, a game like this could be one of those ones where you look back and go, that 3 points was vital. That 3 points took us to this next level, because we all expect our team to be up for the North London derbies and the Liverpools and the Man Cities and the Man Uniteds and stuff. But to go to a team that is gonna hunt for your blood, get out there with 3 points, and they go like we did with Man United, we outplayed them. We done them second half. How do we get out there with nothing? And I think it's going to be one of the most important games of the season, or one of the most important results of the season as we go further.
Yeah. It's a big point we're going to talk about. And you know what? We'll talk about why Arsenal, why Arsenal struggled in the second half. But before I do that, I wanted to give a big word and a big shout out, to our brother Bukayo Saka. But before I do that and talk about that, there's a few comments that we need to get through. Bukayo Saka.
Booyaka Saka on the
wing. before I talk about Bukayo Saka and that first goal and give him a lot of praise for that, Mr. 200 in the place. Good evening to yourself. He says, I think Leeds did a good job of crowding out our midfield, overloading it, made it difficult for us to play out. It's one of the points that we'll talk about when we get into the second half. Definitely agree with you there, Mr. 200. Know-how says, the great thing about this is that for most clubs, if you do want to win the league or exceed expectations, you're going to need a bit of luck and to grind out the odd win. There's no shame in it. Absolutely.
100%.
anyone disagree with that?
Cracking comments.
Well, comment.
In the chat today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's people. People's raising their game, man. People raising their game.
I mean, even social are putting in some mad comments. I'm surprised.
I'm like, social, and then it's talking about Holdings Barnett right here. What a beautiful example of hair plucks.
Houdini, man, put some love on his name.
There you go. And he's talking about here social. We got a couple of comments from social in here saying grinding out results when you're not at your best is what successful teams do. Edmin saying, good point, King. This team was a joke on all levels when he took over. It really was. And I say that with no agenda. I think the ruthlessness of the board backing Arteta when it came to Aubameyang, even though they wanted to keep Oba, shows
showing your true colours. Arteta out, innit?
Get lost. Shows how serious Arteta is about cutting players who aren't good enough yet mentally or at the level. And he says,
great points.
Yeah, and that confidence as well, T, because that could have gone south.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that. It's so true. And they're social again.
But yeah, I mean, it shows Arteta's potential to back himself and deal with, because again, how many managers have been told, you can't deal with big time players and whatever. He's had all of the cliches in the 3 years that he's been a manager.
Yeah.
Not just at Arsenal, a manager. Big club, dealing with big players, the big personalities, all these, keeping the squad together, COVID. The list is almost endless.
Yeah.
And he's come through with flying colours. To come out the end where everybody's going, right, this is a big season for him. He's got to do something and whatever it is. He's finally his team. What has he come out and done? Given us the best start that we've ever had in a top flight season. Ever. In how many, over 100 years of being Arsenal. Ever. Even Wenger, Herbert Chapman can't say
Graham.
Exactly.
George Graham. Do you remember the comment from Arteta when he said that he's not the problem, he's the solution?
Yeah.
He seems to be the solution.
Exactly. Yeah. And who's a part of that solution? Bukayo Saka. This is the goal that I wanted to talk about, because a lot has been spoken about Bukayo Saka. Once again, I do urge you to go check out King's show from last night. I keep plugging that because these are we're brushing over on topics that we've spoken about, and me and King and Wilf in here as well definitely were all in agreement that the Bukayo Saka, before the Manchester United game, has his performances quite been there? Is he at the level he was previously? I said this then, and I still say this now. There's no difference between then and the start of the season in terms of performance. The difference, he's putting the ball in the back of the net. And this is where Bukayo Saka's beginning to get that ruthless streak. As soon as you gain a little bit of confidence, that ball played through to Ødegaard. We've spoken about him already. Unbelievable. But the finish from Bukayo Saka on his wrong foot, where he's being questioned on multiple times. Edmin in the chat, hold your hands up, my bro. I know you've been questioning him about that right foot. No, but rightly so in terms of his shooting. I know we can, because we all know he can cross with his right foot. We've seen that, but it's always been about, can he get that shot off across? Can he make that right decision? And that finish is a lot harder than it looks, getting it into the roof of the net. Incredibly. Every single top coach who knows their worth is telling you in those situations, there's only two places you can go. Low across the keeper, or if you're going to go near post, it has to go high, because the keeper's hands always start down here. They always start down, and it's harder for them to get a quicker reaction time if it's for it to go to the roof of the net. And Bukayo Saka, once again, learning and improving his goal record. I wanted to
show how good that finish was. Remember, Jesus had the similar chance in the first half, and he hits it. And Jesus' quality didn't manage to do that.
Exactly. Thank you for that, because that's a massive point that you said right there, Wilf. And right, I just wanted to ask you both this now. We'll start off with you, King. In terms of Bukayo Saka, if he can, with his. He's at this Ballon d'Or right now as we're speaking. My brother appearing there. He feels like a son. You know what I mean? I'm about a year older than him, right? Yeah. He still feels like a bit more than he is.
Yeah.
What does he now need to do for you to take that next step? We'll start off with you, King, and then Wilf. I want to hear your.
I think he. If you remember when Bukayo first burst in, he was more of a creator. He used to cross a lot of passes to Aubameyang or Lacazette, and Arteta's turning into more of an inverted winger who, he do create chances, but he also go for the shot a lot. And I think that if he can do like Mohamed Salah or like Arjen Robben, where he has more of those goal-scoring moments in every game, I think that's it. Because I think he works hard enough. He tracks back. Technically, he's solid. His understanding, and I've said this many times, his understanding of football is so underrated. And I do think that his decision making is good. I do think that sometimes, when a player lose confidence, they take the wrong decision. That doesn't mean that they don't understand football. It's just part of the human psychology. But I do think that if he can just add a few more of those moments that he had against Leeds, where he just he really turned the fullback inside and out and try and get a few more shots every game, I think he's going to be one of the best wingers in Europe, not just in the league, because I do rate him that highly.
can't disagree with that at all. And Wilf, would, in terms of you adding on that point, do you also think that there's maybe another element in this Arsenal team that you might add that can get Bukayo Saka to that next level?
You know what? I think Bukayo's on the trajectory to where he needs to get to. I don't think there's much more he can do with what he's doing to progress. He's on that path. So it's a kind of, when I think of him and his football life, I look at it like when you have, like, for those of you who got kids, when your kid progresses through the next stage of their development, certain things happen. Like when they're a toddler, they start to walk and stuff. They start tripping over, and so it looks like there's a hiccup, but they're actually doing what is necessary to get to the point where they can they're going to walk properly and they're going to do all the rest of it. He's doing that. I think the what you're seeing now is the fact that when people were saying he was in a poor vein of form, he was getting doubled and triple teamed, and teams have realized they can't do that anymore, which is if you look at the game, is what led to his goal in this game, because Leeds had to take, because of previous games, they had to take an extra man off Bukayo Saka to deal with Martinelli, because he's having such a brilliant season. So to go with your question of what the team can do, they're doing it. Martinelli, Jesus, and everybody else down on that other side are doing their job to take men off Saka. And once they take men off Saka, you get goals like what you saw against Leeds. He is doing everything that is asked of him and more. The geezer's 21?
Yeah.
21
now. Just turned 21.
21. He is one of the leaders in this Arsenal team. He is one of the leaders in his national team. I don't know what more he needs to do trajectory wise to get to where he's going. He's on it. If you're on the train, you can't get on another train to be more on the train. You're on it. He's on it. He's doing his thing. Because even when he had the 2-3 men, he was still producing match winning, changing, defining moments. The Palace game, that second goal doesn't come if he doesn't do what he does and puts the ball in such a dangerous area that the defender has nothing to do. He can't do anything but other. If he leaves it, a player taps it in, so he has to tap it in himself because he's trying to get there. If you see in the North London derby and other games, like when they got 2 men on him, he lays it off to Ben White, and Ben White gives it to Partey, and we score. He's still affecting games when they're trying to nullify his involvement in games, whether it is dragging an extra player over because you had 2 on him, now you're going to get 3, or he's got 2 men on him and he's still producing. He's not going to be producing with the numbers that he had last season because teams are so aware of him and so scared of him. But even then, he's still doing that. I mean, his numbers are up there. I mean, other than, I think he's in the top 2 or 3 with our assists and goals this season. Our winger is up there in that situation. Arguably, we've got the best front 3 in the league at the moment. And what more can you do? If you're the best, what more? And you're still being better and better every game. What more can you do to get on to where you need to get to?
Great points right there. And do you know what? We've spoken about such a positive with Bukayo Saka. Now it's time to get into the nitty gritty because let's be honest, people, this was an ugly game, right? And this really happened in the second half. I'll give my reasons and I want to hear your guys's as well into why this has been the case. Me and King, once again, we spoke about this. I'm stealing a little bit of King's as well. First one, Thomas Partey. This King mentioned this. I'm going to co-sign it. They stuck 2 men on him, and it kind of links in with Paul's point, Mr. 200, in crowding that midfield. Got to give credit to Jesse Marsh to understand that Partey is our fulcrum in midfield and how we progress the ball centrally. It comes through him because he can play that ball with less touches and even with the counterattacks and with the wonderful move that we saw, one-touch passes that Partey's playing. He can do that with Ødegaard, and he plays that with Ødegaard so well, and Xhaka. So they stuck 2 men on him, which kind of negated that factor, and he struggled a lot in the second half. Tomiyasu, I thought he looked uncomfortable in possession on that left, just when you need that pass down the line to Martinelli, which, you know, when you're a left-footed player, you are going to be more comfortable at doing that, playing to the touchline a lot of the time. Tomiyasu, you know, that wasn't his best game, and he looked more comfortable when he shifted to that right when Benjamin White came off. I just think that's one of those situations there. If you are a naturally left-footed player, you are going to tend to always move down to the left, which is why Arteta played Granit Xhaka at left back in a lot of occasions last season. I thought Jesus was isolated from the play a lot of the time in that second half. He was struggling to get the link up to do what Jesus does. He still gives you a lot of energy. He gave us a lot of defensive work. He'll always give that, which is why Arteta signed him. And this is what we kind of spoken about this before, me and Wilf, in terms of if things ain't going right, we know that these players are going to still give you a base level of performance, and that base level is not going to drop below a certain level. So Jesus, this was his worst game in an Arsenal shirt, but that's not just because of him. I think, yes, partly because of him, because he tried, even in those moments when he had that big chance, he could have put that away, and he probably took too many touches and tried to go for the nutmeg on a few occasions, and tried to go for that little bit of a hard thing when he could have played it easier and just, you know, brought us up the pitch a little bit more. So those were the 3 big reasons: Partey, Tomiyasu, and Jesus. King, what about you? Is there anything else that you'd like to add in terms of what we thought we struggled in particular, and what, you know, Leeds did well against us in that second half?
No, I agree. I think it was a tactical decision by Jesse March, and I was very impressive by him in the second half, how he put 2 men on Partey, and Partey couldn't really breathe. So, and I think this game we kind of missed Zinchenko, because when Zinchenko plays, he becomes an extra midfielder. So if you put 2 men on Partey, then Zinchenko is free. And if you try and man them, they're so good that they can get through the man. So it just shows that how good a manager he is also as well, Jesse March. And fair play to Leeds. Like, they did well, but I do think that we were up for the physical battle. We were up for the long balls. I think Saliba did well with his recovery pace many times. I think Gabriel in the air was amazing, and his ground duels as well. I think he won everything in the air, and 8 out of 9 on ground duels. Just shows how good he was in a defensive aspect. And yeah, I do think that Jesus maybe was still suffering a bit from after the knock against Liverpool. He didn't look 100% for me. I was a bit surprised that he played as long as he did, and it shows that Arteta really rates and trusts him, but also a bit worrying about Eddie. We'll see if Eddie can get some more minutes in the league. I do think this was the perfect game to to give him a bit more confidence, Eddie. But I do think Tierney, when he came in, he kind of helped us a bit in the defensive structure, became a bit better, and Tomiyasu were better on the right than he was on the left this game.
Yeah, totally hear that. And Wilf, would you like to add to that as well in terms of what you thought was the reasons?
I think the main reason why the players that you mentioned didn't have a good game, and this is credit to Jesse and Leeds, is that they'd looked at previous games and said, these are the areas that Arsenal have been hurting people with in other games. Jesus, Martinelli, even Tomiyasu, even Tommy on that side. Let's target him, and they did that effectively. So it nullified them, but it just shows, and I'm going to go to Arteta again, how he's addressed everything that has been labelled at Arsenal for a very long time. The soft underbelly, no plan B, it's all through Bakayo or Odegaard or whatever. If you stop certain players, this will nullify Arsenal. He's addressed all them. So we're such a balanced team that we were able to bypass their game plan and use other players that hadn't been in the limelight for other games. So we're a more rounded team. It was always going to be difficult. It was always going to be hard at Leeds, away from home, a team that presses, a team that goes for the jugular, like we do. And as alluded to before, we've got more in our armory now. We've got more in our armory now, and you saw that in this game. You saw that. I mean, the players that you mentioned prior to this game, 90% of pundits and everybody else has said, "Oh, you stop Jesus and Martinelli, then and Odegaard, you can beat Arsenal." They did that, and we've shown that we've got different weapons in our arsenal, pun intended. So I love this game, not at the time because it was heart-wrenching, heart-stopping, but because it shows just how far we've developed in over a season, what difference a year makes on so many levels. And I don't know how far we are going to go this season. I know what I've predicted. I know what when I'm in my darkened room on my own, what I dream and what I believe is possible. I won't say it on air because it can come back to bite me, and I don't want to jinx it. But this is the most prepared I've seen an Arsenal team probably since the Invincibles. Again, I'm not saying these are the Invincibles, obviously not, but there's not a player that I don't like. There's not a player that I don't love. I love the team as a whole, an individual. I can, every game, every test that we go through, I cannot help but thinking something's happening here. Something special is happening here. And this win and the Liverpool win shows just how big they are, because Liverpool went out and beat Man City. Yeah, the team that we beat went out and beat Man City and dealt with them and handled them and stopped Haaland from scoring. They couldn't stop us from scoring 3 goals.
Yeah, we'll get into that as well for sure. Are you reading my notes? Is that what you do?
No, I'm get out of mine, chicken. I'm reading mine. Yeah.
But yeah, do you know what? Noel's he's got some great questions that we're gonna have to get through towards the end. So keep them coming, Noel. Yeah. I love them, and it'll be interesting to hear Wilf's point of view on these as well. And big up Tezzy in here as well. Nice seeing you, Tezzy. Right, so there's a few more things we're going to talk about. The key match incidents, star performers, underperformers, and as you just mentioned, the Liverpool Man City game. Let's go through them. So the key match incidents. Let's quick fire these. Bamford disallowed goal. Is that a foul or is that the right decision?
It's a foul. and it's one of them decisions that if it isn't given, you kind of go, yeah, but the ref gave it. End of story. I mean, it happened to us. It happened to us in the Man United game. You know, I mean, it's one of them ones. As if it happened to us, I'd be cussing.
Yeah. Big
I'd be
respect, man. I agree, because this is exactly what I was thinking before. I was thinking, I'm interested to hear Will's point of view, because I wonder I don't know if he's going to say, oh, nah, that's definitely a foul, or I don't know. But
it is a foul.
You've literally said what I've said. Like, it's... For me, if the referee doesn't give it, VAR can't go back and say, no, that's a foul, disallow the goal, because it's soft, but foul is still...
It's still a foul.
Exactly. So, but that's where... I know I always go back to this in every show, right, when I talk about the Arsenal-Man United game. Because the referee didn't give it, you cannot say that's a free.
Thank you.
But if the referee gives it, I'm all right, man. I'm not molded then.
Yeah, because it's a foul. But and as a striker, I know I do them things. I always put a nudge on the centre back. If I get away with it, I get away with it. You know what I mean? Funny enough, I had one on Wednesday when I played, where I fouled the centre back and the ref gave the free kick to me. And I even went up to him because we had a drink afterwards. I went up to him and I got away with that. I know that. And he was like, "Yeah, you did it." It's them ones. It's football. That's what you do. Yeah. It was a foul. The referee deemed to give it. End of story. Can't complain either way. And like you said, if they'd scored it, I'd be fuming. But if it was us and we'd scored it, which happened in the Man United game, I'd have been cussing.
Exactly. The next one, right? The Saliba's handball. This is the only wrong decision for me. And it's because he's offside. The handball, brother. Saliba tries catching it, bro. Like that's a handball all day.
Yeah, Ramsdale would have been happy with that, man.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what went through his mind then. I don't know. I can't.
It's one of them, you know, you're a centre back. It's one of them times where it's instinctual, you react, and the second you do it, you go, what was I doing there?
If you saw Saliba's face, he did exactly that. He went, just look at his face at the slow replays. He's like, what is this?
Yeah. It's like if somebody does that to you and you blink, it's just it's a reaction.
And those are the type of things, bro, when I'm saying about, you know, that when that delay in the game can create that little bit take that little edge away, because Saliba doesn't do that. Like, he's very focused, but he lost that little bit for that split second. And there was a couple of times where Gabriel did have to like save him as well, you know, like coming.
This is Saliba's worst game in an Arsenal shirt.
Exactly, but somehow everyone was talking about Gabriel. Anyways, we'll move on to that in a bit. But yeah, that one was offside, so there was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
And I'm worried though, because this is where, you know, we've seen plenty of incidents in that Man United game, by the way. I know we're not going to talk about that too long. How the heck is that not a penalty on Callum Wilson? What a GBH'd him, right? And I don't even know how he's not got a penalty. But these are the types of decisions that we need our referees. Come on, man. Make the right ones. There's no excuses for that. Unless there's a little, you know, Saka loophole, like against Liverpool, where camera wasn't like level and that. I'm all right with that because we benefit.
Well, hey, it's one of them ones. But I'll give you another one. The Klopp doesn't get sent off if the ref gives that foul.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's a clear foul. Big up David Lee. Klopp doesn't get sent off because there's nothing for him to complain about. And that I'm sure you're going to come to it later, but the Bamford one later on, I'll drop you on that one.
And this is you talk about it, because the floor is yours. That was the next one that I was going to talk about. Right. Gabriel's red card overturned.
So, people complain about the red card, but it's origin of blame. If Bamford doesn't foul him, Gabriel's not on the floor to kick out. It's not like it's a clash where it's natural and it was in time. Bamford looks, checks it out, the ball is in Ramsdale's hand when he decides to go and leave one on Gabriel. My biggest concern with that is Bamford not getting booked.
Yeah.
Because that's dangerous. Because it's late, it's unnecessary, and it's intentional. Yeah? And I'm not even going to get... I've lost all respect for Bamford after this game because he was cheating. He was trying to get something because he was having a bad game. The reaction to what was so slight a graze was Rivaldo-like in the way he went down. He looked like he got shot by a high-powered rifle from the stands, the way he went down, trying to con the referee after committing that foul. Dirty, disrespectful. I don't play like that. I don't like people that play like that. I'm so glad the VAR overturned that. They told the ref to go and look at it. I don't know what the linesman saw because he only saw half of that. If he'd seen it in the first place, he should have been, he should have said to the ref, Bamford did something that's dangerous, book him. To say Gabriel, reacted, to not see the preceding incident is ridiculous. To just see the one side. You know what I mean? What are you looking at? You're looking at the ball, you're looking at the players. How you only see the reaction without seeing if you don't see the first one, don't say none.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that there. It's true. I agree. Right. Now, we've got 3 more things and once again, we need to get through these questions that Noel has put in because I love them. I love these types of things. They make your head start thinking and, you got to make decisions. I love them. So, right. Star performers for me in this game, the ones off the top of my head, Gabriel, come on, this guy needs some credit, man.
Immense.
I can't believe how many times do we have to defend this brother, right? He's an aggressive defender. You man them who are out there slating him are Nemanja Vidic lovers, right? Nemanja Vidic was a walking red card at times, right? And the people that talk about, aggressive sense.
How many times did Torres have him on toast? How many times did he get sent off against Torres?
I see what I'm saying. But yeah, he's class. And this was like that's moving into underperformers. But he was marshalling the back at times. And there was a quote that came out. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't even remember who said it. It was someone within the squad. I think it was Ramsdale. Yes, it was Ramsdale. Talking about Saliba, how excellent he is. But just like at times where Saliba helps Gabriel helps him out as well.
Yes.
And then I saw Arsenal fans, I haven't seen that. All I've seen is Saliba carry Gabriel. I'm like, no, come on. Centre-back partnerships are made for this.
Our partnerships.
One's the composed one, the technical sweeper, interceptions more than anything else, and then the other one is the aggressive aerial duels, ground duels, tackles, those things there.
Making it horrible for the centre back, for the centre forward.
Bro, my best. How many times have I said this on this show? Right, I've played centre back. My best partnership was when someone was the aggressor because I was someone. I was a little bit like Saliba. Right, I didn't really like getting. I could get physical. I was stronger than that. But I could do what Saliba did to Luis Diaz, but I prefer reading the game because that's how I try and go in one step ahead. Whereas Gabriel's there to battle. And when you've got that in your centre-back partner, your centre-backs has no weakness. You can't have 2 of the same centre-backs.
No.
Because then you have the same weaknesses that can get exposed.
Which is what you saw when on Thursday when you played Saliba and Ben White.
Exactly that. And then holding up too passive, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. As a striker, I will hunt down. I'll know pretty soon which one's the aggressor and which one's the passive one, and change my game accordingly. I'll battle with the aggressor, but when he thinks, it's going to be a battle with him all day, then I'll switch to the other one and try and unsettle his game by battling with him because I know he doesn't want the battle. And without the aggressor, without Gabriel, we don't win this game. Without 100%. Gabriel, we do not win this game. He got into Bamford's head that made Bamford do that, because he'd been fighting with him the whole time and frustrating Bamford. Bamford lost his head. Everybody talks about, oh, Gabriel lost his head by kicking out and whatever. Bamford lost his head by doing that.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And the only reason for that is because Gabriel buoyed him, slapped him up. Exactly. Yeah, made him his little puppy. And yeah, go on.
And yeah, so I wanted you to was there any other star performers that you had in mind or anything at all?
Ramsdale.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Ramsdale.
Who was your man of the match, Ramsdale or Gabriel, before you carry on?
Okay. Because again, when I was a kid, I played a keeper, Ramsdale, because
and you're a striker as well, so you hate centre backs.
Exactly. But it's so tight. It's so tight between the two of them, and because Ramsdale saves weren't necessarily. It's not like the Leicester save or the ones he's made against the Spuds.
Yeah,
but he made vital saves that disheartened Leeds, where like that one where there was a little kind of pinball in the goal and someone stabbed a little leg and he pushes around a brilliant save, world class, because you need to be focused. All the other little saves that he did, they might not have made the back page for showy, but it showed his focus and his concentration, especially as people have been like, oh, Ramsdale, we're worried about him, he's a little shaky and blah, blah. He stepped up in this game. He stepped up and did his thing. So he just gets it. And I can't think of something he did wrong in the game. That's the only thing that edges it over Gabriel. But Gabriel, one of his best performances, considering how we played and how the rest of the team was doing. And it was his time to bail out his partner, which he's done on other occasions as well. People forget. This is one of the things, because Saliba, nobody wants to slag off Saliba. And I'm not slagging Saliba off. Everybody has a below par game, But yeah, it's out of them two. But if you said to me, Gabriel, I'm not gonna cuss you.
And as Tezzy said here, I've said it before. Man of the match, Gabriel. You're back to you, man. Yeah. Because I think he made the crucial blocks and that as well. And as you said, without Gabriel, we don't win that game. And I'm saying without Ramsdale, and he's the only thing I would say, and this isn't knocking his performance, because he did make those big saves and he was a presence in goal for that penalty. And I do think psychologically had an effect on that. The saves, a lot of the saves he makes, I've seen that from Ramsdale. And I expect it. Do you know what I mean? And this is where, with someone who's come under scrutiny and a lot of criticism with Gabriel, I think, to bounce back and not let it affect you. Still at 24 years of age, he's still a young man that will be dealing with a lot in his life. He's got a new child and that. So this is his new experience for him in a different country where he's still learning the language.
Yeah,
and after what happened, last week, that could have had a mental effect on him. If it, whether it happened or not, the fact that he thought it's happened and, that would have affected him in that sense. So, yeah. And as Tezzy says here, I've said it before, the reason people are so focused on Gabriel's mistakes is just a reflection on how well we've been playing and how few things there are to criticize. Indeed. I just want to ask you now, Wilf, for the underperformers in this one. Was there anyone that you wanted to say that you expected a little bit more of? Because there are a few for me.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, there are, but again, I go back to it's what if you talk about them underperforming, you're doing a disservice
It's not for the whole season.
No. What I'm saying is, if you're talking about them underperforming, then you're doing a disservice to what Leeds did, especially in that second half. Because Leeds aren't a pushover. They didn't come to roll over.
But we've seen Arsenal this season, right? And Arsenal at their level, I'm sorry, we roll Leeds over.
Yeah, 100%. And if you see, but they're a different outfit to Brentford at home. They pose different threats because you look at the amount of tackles they are. They're very physical side. They try to intimidate. Brentford don't do that. I don't think Brentford or Brentford. I don't think Brentford do that as much because bear in mind, you look at last season. Ever since Jesse taken over, they've got the most fouls. They commit the most tackles in a game and all this kind of thing. If you look at the stats, there's no one like them as like them in the Premier League. You know what I mean? And it's an intimidating ground. I think Ellen Road is with all due respect to Brentford, is more intimidating ground and crowd than Brentford. Yeah. And also where we played them in the season. Had you swapped them round, we probably would have.
But this is where I'm saying there were players that aren't on the level. I'm not saying we have to criticize them and say they're poor.
No.
There's reasons why. We spoke about the reasons earlier in terms of Europe, but there were players that weren't at the level they were last week. Hence Martinelli, for example.
Yeah, Jesus, Martinelli, which you're going to expect.
Yeah.
Partey wasn't as influential as he has been.
Saliba.
Said Saliba. Tomiyasu. By his standards, he had a poor game. I'm not saying he had a poor game, but by his standards. Who else? Ben White didn't reach the levels that he has been reaching.
Yeah.
I can't really think of it. I mean, could you say Xhaka because he wasn't as influential? But that's more because of it's more because he couldn't be as forward.
Yeah, because of that central packing.
Yeah. He is playing that double pivot and away from home, so he's not going to be influential. But yeah, other than the ones that we've mentioned, I can't really think of any more. There's a couple of things that I saw earlier that the people had put in the comments. I can't remember. I'll see if I can see it on the thing that I. But yeah, you go say your piece.
Yeah. So yeah, though Martinelli was one of them for me. I thought that at times, he looked lively. He worked very hard. Once again, I'm not dissing him for that, but just didn't really make the right choices. Running into cul-de-sacs a little bit. We saw him last season. He dominated Leeds. He was the star performer in that one. Leeds did a good job of him getting physical and crowding him out, which he's going to have to get used to now. He's going to have to get the Saka treatment now. You know what I mean? So
100%.
Yeah. So I think once again the factors leading up to that, he played in midweek, he started away, and also the fact that we've got no left winger really because Smith Rowe's injury. I think once again, if you're not quite at that level in the Premier League, it will show up more than most. So I just think that he's kind of missed having that rotation with Smith Rowe. Right there for those midweek games. So Martinelli's the one that I would go for. Is there anyone we've mentioned them already actually. And just the final thing before we go into the questions, Liverpool 1, Manchester City 0. Wilf, what does this mean for the mighty Arsenal? What have you taken away from that as a benefit for us? Or as a
honestly, I don't.
Or as a worry. I don't think.
I don't think it actually changes anything with this team and where we're heading for and what we were doing. It's more for the fans than it is for Arteta, because I think they've got a game plan and they're literally going to take it one game at a time and make everybody catch us. I don't think it changes that in the mindset of the team and the manager. Yeah. For us, massive, huge.
But yeah, totally. I agree with what you said there. The manager and the team, they're not looking at that like that. But in terms of even confidence and knowing that Man City, how long have I been saying this, Wilf?
Yeah. I have to give you props. You've been banging this drum for a long time.
I'm pulling you up now. We're going head to head. Family feud once again, right? You said Liverpool were going to lose this, right? Yeah?
Yeah, of course I did.
No.
Yeah, man. I know.
I said Liverpool are going to win because this City team aren't perfect. Whenever they've come up against decent attackers this season, they've held it. They've held it. Let's be Man United were poor in that first half. They could have scored more. They would have got a few passes, right? People say, Man City switched off. Well, champions don't switch off at any point.
And they still conceded 3 goals.
Exactly. Newcastle, decent team. No disrespect, but Newcastle piping them by 3.
Yeah.
But Aston Villa. Aston Villa. Yeah, they had to score from a corner against us. Right. Yeah. Manchester City are not what people make out. I'm sorry. They're going forward. They're a dream and they're amazing. But if Haaland has a game like he does and those players do, it's peak because they're not shutting out no game.
But that's Liverpool as well. That's not just Haaland off his
game.
Yeah,
Van Dijk. No.
And I'm gonna give you another big props. With regards, or what was it I was going to say? Yeah, you said earlier in the show about Pep being his own worst enemy. Yeah, because I was watching Match of the Day, and I was like, don't steal my boy Tereak's team, man. Where they said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And there was no need for Pep to change his style. What he'd been doing, what had been successful throughout the season to play Liverpool because it's Liverpool. And I think that's what undone him because had they played Liverpool like everybody else, they probably would have come out with a result in that game.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
You know. And it's and the thing is, and this is another thing you said. It's like when your team's like Liverpool and you come against the big boys, you're gonna raise your game, and they did. And I don't think Man City were capable or prepared for that.
Exactly that there. I know this is going back to Arsenal now because I want to let Wilf have a go here. So someone at work tried to tell me that Ødegaard is underperforming because he doesn't get enough goals or assists. That is mad. I genuinely think that he'd be so much less effective if he tried to change. First of all, me and Wilf definitely agree with you. But Wilf, 100%. What would you say to this brother that know how's work?
I'd say seek medical help quick. because something ain't right in something ain't clicking in the brain, bro. Something ain't quite there. And it could be dangerous, you know what I mean? I wouldn't operate any heavy machinery or anything like that. Because to be honest, when I hear comments like that, I just find it what alarm bells ring in my head is this person doesn't understand football or hasn't played the game or they just refuse to acknowledge that. I mean,
because it's Arsenal.
Whether it's because it's Arsenal or whoever, anyone that says that, it's like someone saying, "Oh, Haaland ain't." When people were saying Haaland he's going to be, or he's going to be a flop in this league and all the rest of it. It's all them kind of madness statements. Where, to be honest, I'd ask Know-How if the brother was foaming at the mouth at the time when he said this and wearing a straitjacket, because that it's madness. It's madness. I don't know what he needs to do to prove that how vital he is to this team. To to his country, to the respect that people in football, his own nation. Real Madrid don't buy duds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Regardless of whether they used it properly or whatever, they don't buy duds.
Luka Jovic, carry on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know.
No, they do. They see potential. They see potential. You know what I mean? And
I know. Ease.
Well, easy, bro. Easy,
boy.
Pull back. You're speeding now. You're speeding, man. There's a camera. There's a speed camera just around the corner. He could get to that level. But I don't understand when people don't see what it is that he's got, what we've got in him. Yeah, because if he'd been playing like this for Real Madrid, one, they wouldn't have sold him. We wouldn't have got him. And if we did, we'd have had to break our transfer record to get him. Yeah. I found a question that I was gonna that I saw earlier. It was a know-how. If Arsenal fans, my biggest fear this season was about the World Cup and thing.
I've got it.
Go back to that. Yeah. Oh, you got it. You got it. All right. We're vibing today, innit? We're vibing today.
Don't you worry.
But nah, it's ridiculous. It's just
exactly. And Tezzy, before we get into those questions, know-how, because I'm ready for it, and Wilf, get your hands ready as well, because you got to get your brain ticking.
No, I'm trying to think.
So Tezzy goes, I'm not surprised our levels dropped. I had a feeling after the intensity of Spurs, Liverpool, even Bodo Glimt being a tough game, I thought it might be hard to keep up for the mentality for such a young team. Tezzy, you are spot on. And if you want to go, I spoke about this probably at the start of the show, so go check it out. Tezzy, great minds think alike.
Michael is just smashing it.
Exactly. Love you, Tezzy.
To be honest, this point kind of makes itself. When you play at that intensity level, and again, it's one of them boxing things. If you have 2 back-to-back intensive fights, it's sapping, it's energy sapping, it's emotionally draining, it's physically draining, it's mentally draining, and to lift all of that for teams that are lesser, and it's no disrespect to say that your Bodo Glimts and your Leeds, they're not,
and your Spurs.
And your Spuds, yeah, of course, they're not at the level of the big teams. You know what I mean? So getting your psyche up for a game like that and getting it to the level that you when you're playing Man United, when you're playing Liverpool, when you're playing Man City, it's difficult because you're on that high. You come down and the motivation isn't there, because going into the Liverpool game, going into the Man United game, everybody's saying, you ain't going to do this, that, and the other, and you want to prove people wrong. But there's an expectation when you go to play Bodo Glimt and your Leeds and stuff that you're supposed to just walk this game.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't read the script. They wouldn't have read the script. And for them, they're like, this is Arsenal, let's get a result because it's going to be a big scalp. Bodo Glimt wanted us bad. I mean, even their manager come out and said, beating Arsenal, even if it was 1-0, would be bigger than beating Roma 6-1. That's a statement right there. You know what I mean?
Bro, we're cooking, bro. We're cooking, man. What did Jesse Marsh say as well? Arteta's the most underrated manager in the league.
Manager. And that's probably the statement of the year. People we need to start putting respect to, even our fan base needs to start putting respect on this man's name. Exactly. Because he is moving at an exponential rate of a manager I haven't seen before. I'm sure Pep did and Klopp did and whatever. I've never seen a manager progress this quickly at such a big job in such a short space of time.
Yeah,
because if you look at people who'd been earmarked to be the next big thing, your Gerrards and your Lampards and your all them other managers out there, even him and G-Par, I think are the most underrated managers in this league.
Yeah,
and they are forcing people to acknowledge them now.
Yeah, exactly. And just saying, and Tezzy's added as well, just saying, if we do have a dip and drop points, I'm okay with that. Not sure we're quite ready to cruise through 38 games yet, but we are getting there. Hey, what I would just add on that is, Tezzy, you'll never know when we are ready, but the only time we will be ready is when we prove it.
When we're ready.
Exactly. And we'll never know, because we could say next season there's different circumstances, injuries, Champions League, etc. Things that throw up external factors. But we'll get
back through history.
Yeah.
Every team, nobody knows. Nobody knew Leicester, was ready for that title. Nobody knew your Barkers and your Man Cities and stuff were ready until they were ready. Until they proved they was ready.
Exactly that. Spot on. And let's go through the questions now. We've got plenty. We've got loads from Know-How and one from Social in there too.
Ditch your social one, man. Ditch your social one.
So let's go. Can I ask a question? Could each of you, and guys in the comments, and if you're watching live as well, get in there. I want to hear your answers. Can I ask a question? Could each of you give me a percentage for how certain you are that Arsenal will buy in January? Also, if you had to bet your house on it, which player would it be? I'll go first. Percentage.
Yeah, please.
How certain? And this is sound mad, I'm 80% certain, right, that we'll sign someone in January. The only reason there's a 20% in there is just depending on how the fitness. If our players come back from the World Cup and they're, all okay and they're all fit and they're all ready to go, then I think Arsenal will decide to pass. And if we can get El Nene back and Smith Rowe and in there, and if Nelson has a resurgence, then maybe that's the 20% in there. But with how they're looking to move forward and how they're ready to take on opportunities and the mentality that Arsenal and Arteta has got instilled throughout the club as well, and Edu's how they work, they're going to sign someone in January, at least one person. What about you, bro?
I'm 90%, probably 95% that they've earmarked someone to buy in January already. But when it comes to the likelihood, that's a different story, because we saw it with last January. It's if they're not available, there'll be one or two targets, maybe three, but if we're able to get them, and this is regardless of how well or not the team are doing, I think they will look to freshen up in January if they can. And whatever point that you made, whether it's like the team was doing great and everybody come back from the World Cup fit and in the right mindset and all the rest of it, and we get El Neni back on whatever, I still think they would look to buy to just give that spark, just to bring in somebody else with a little fresh and go, boy, I've seen what you lot have been doing. Let me come in and add to this.
Yeah, I agree. But do you know what I would say? The only difference between now and last season, at this point last season, we weren't planning to buy in January. The only reason we went to is because of Aubameyang, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I think we're planning to buy in January if the right player with the right profile, because I heard something on one of the podcasts, whether it was Goonie Talk or one of them, that what's more important with Arteta is mentality rather than skill level.
Yeah, he said that a couple of years back, I think. He said it a couple of years ago.
And it's being reiterated. And if the right player with the right skill set and the right profile is available that they're looking at, then they'll get him. And it just depends. Yeah, I'm sure there will be.
After the World Cup, remember?
Oh yeah. I no doubt, but also is with this question, will a team be willing to sell? Because the kind of player that we would be looking for or looking to get hold of is the kind of player that no one's going to want to get rid of, especially if they're going to be that important to their team that no one's going to want to get rid of him. I mean, it's like saying, someone comes in for Martinelli. Well, no, we're not going to get rid of Martinelli because he's vital to us at this moment in time, and he's just he's just had a fantastic World Cup. Hypothetically, he's just had a fantastic World Cup where he led him mid-season, and that may be the obstacle.
Possibly, yeah, that's true. And who would it be? That's difficult. In terms of links right now, we're on real link that we're having is Danilo. That's a long-term signing that we're looking at from Palmeiras.
Midric from
that Mudryk, from
Mudryk.
I would say, do you know what what I would say in terms of position, because this is a debate within Arsenal fans as well. I'm going attacker over midfielder in Jan for me.
Right or left side or okay, actually,
like a winger, I'm going attacker.
Must be happy about this. JT, man. Jonathan Davis. Jonathan David. I really think he would come in and do something. I'd go midfielder over.
See, but the reason why this is El Nene, man. Like El Nene is going to be back.
And this is more me what I personally want, because this is a jump that I've been banging for a long time. Ibrahim Sangara. So I actually think he's got a release clause, and it's not ridiculous.
I think it's in summer though. It activates though, unfortunately.
Oh right, okay, fair enough. The reason why I would go midfielder, and I see your point, because I look at it now, and I think you made it earlier, or you or King made it earlier, about how we don't have a replacement for Martinelli, and we don't want him getting burnt out. I mean, this is going to be a long season for him if he's just there, and even with Smith Rowe coming back, he's going to take time to catch up. So I see your point, but I can't get past the level that drops with Partey out.
Even with Saka, we ain't got.
Exactly. I see what I see. With because you got to remember, with Fabio Vieira can play. He gives you something totally different, but he can play along. He can play both sides. He can play left side, right side. And I think what he would give us would be so unexpected, because everybody's set up for Martinelli and Saka. You throw in a Fabio Vieira out there, and their whole game plan changes. But again, this is not taken away. I totally see your point about the whole winger situation. But nothing's changed for me in the fact of someone in that midfield.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We got to quick fire this now, because I'm running short for time. I got to go in the office. Go. So keep one, sell one. Martinelli, ESR. I'll let you go first.
Is there a beat button that you can say? Because I want to cuss. On current form, my heart says I'd love to keep ESR, but on current form, you can't let Martinelli go. So it would have to be ESR.
Yeah, I agree. And I'd add to that by saying injuries over for ESR. ESR is mad intelligent as a footballer and ridiculous, but just the injuries part. If you have to sell one, it's going to be ESR. Sorry to say. As an Arsenal fan, would you rather England wins the World Cup or the World Cup gets cancelled this year?
I love the World Cup, and I actually would like to see England win the World Cup. So it's a I'm a trophy whore. I want to see trophies. I want to see winning and whatever. And I actually think for the likes of Ramsdale and Saka and Benjamin White, if he goes, we should flipping go.
Yeah.
What that would do to their morale and what that would do to their mindset. I've heard people say this. I've heard Rai say this about how it and Tim Stillman say this about how what it done to Beth Mead and Leah Williamson is going, I've played the best in the world and I beat them. I had them on toast. So these people in the league ain't got none on me. And I think it would boost us to win the World Cup. And if you put it off, you're gonna put it in somewhere else. So it's always gonna be in a bad position because of where we lost it from.
Yeah. So yeah, I would agree. I'd say England win the World Cup because I think it do the players more benefit. I think that's a great shout right there. Given your history with Cashley Cole, would you bring him into this team at his peak?
100%.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Actually, one of the reasons why I am not so hurt as everybody else by Ashley is because he used to drink in one of the bars I used to work in.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually a lovely guy. I can't.
See, look at that. Wilf, buddy over there.
He's a lovely brother, and I mean respectful and humble. He got hurt by us.
Cheryl say different.
Yeah, I know, but I don't even get me started on that. Anyway, one thing I think we forget as fans, right, is that there's two sides to every story. It takes two to tango and all those other cliches. We didn't treat him right enough. We didn't offer him. If we'd offered him what Chelsea offered him, he wouldn't have gone anywhere. If we had shown the ambition that Van Persie wanted, he wouldn't have gone anywhere. You know what I mean? If we had offered Fabregas to come back, he wouldn't have gone to Chelsea. So, as a baller, take my Arsenal hat off. As a baller, you can't blame them, man, for looking out for themselves and looking after their career and going out. And it was proved ultimately, like Sol Campbell coming to us, he was proved correct in going to where he did because he's got the most FA Cups that anybody else has ever had. He's won league titles, blah, blah, and all the rest of it. At his peak, he was the best left back in the world.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer. Why would you turn down the best player in his position in the world for a good 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. Exactly that. So yeah, next one we've got to go into is if you could click your fingers and Arsenal are out of Europe today, would you do it? Ooh. Out of Europe? What does he mean? Like Europa League?
The Europa League, isn't it?
Yeah.
No. I think...
No, I don't think it actually benefits. I think there's a little bit of a myth around that, by the way, about Europa League having a massive impact. Only if you've got a really small squad, I believe.
Yeah. And I also think that with this team, our best chance of winning a trophy is Europa.
Yeah.
Even beyond FA Cup and League Cup, I think our best trophy, because even teams that drop down from this is another point I heard during the week. Teams that drop down from the Champions League to go into the Europa, they may be big names, but they're underperforming.
Yeah.
To be able to drop down into the Europa, they must have been underperforming over a series of games because they had enough to qualify and they didn't.
Yeah.
So they ain't going to be as good as their name suggests. Whereas us, we're leading our national division, and
exactly,
I don't fear anyone.
Yeah, let's go. Next one. Here we go. Given that
You
didn't
answer.
Nah. Yeah, nah. Because I said nah. I wouldn't go out of Europe.
All right,
because
okay.
I said because I think there's a little bit of a myth around Europe, like that has that hindrance. I don't think it does.
No.
If you're the right team, Champions League,
Champions
Europe,
League.
it didn't hinder City.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
right there. Given the fact that you're in Europe, should Arteta use the youth? I think he's using the youth already. I know you realised earlier that Patino is out on loan. So yeah, I think he is using the youth. He's using the likes of Marquinhos. He's using, I know, Nelson. Well, Nelson, is he classed as youth? Yeah, I guess. And yeah, I think we might see a Raw Walters come back in at some point. He's just struggling with injuries at the moment, Raw Waters. But yeah, he's a serious one. He came out on the preseason tour with us. He played against Nuremberg and he had a few minutes and that. Proper player, athlete as well, rapid at the back. So yeah, is there anyone else that you would like to see? One player, if you had to name, quick fire.
Is it Smith?
Matt Smith.
Yeah, Matt Smith. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him. I haven't seen that much of him. I see the thing about if we get through the PSV game, if we win that PSV game, the next one coming up, then you use the youth. Because that secures top spot, because we would have had a better result against them, because we would have won the first game. I think that's how it works.
Yeah. It depends. It's just as long as you don't get battered. That's what it is.
Yeah. And I can't see us getting battered against PSV. We might lose by the odd goal.
They drew to Bodo Glimt as well, didn't they? PSV.
Yeah. So I think that again, because we beat Bodo Glimt home and away. The results, the way it would go,
would have 4
even
points
if we,
and then
0. But even if we won this game against PSV, I don't think we can be caught because of various results. The whole permutation thing, because we got to play PSV twice and Zurich. That's all we got left, right? So if we, that's why I would go strong in the next game, get it out of the way. And then you can blood kids in the next game and rest a lot of first teamers.
Which team do you think Arsenal will lose to next? The next hardest game we've got. Like, I mean, we could lose. You could lose to Southampton, but I don't think.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't know what Southampton's going to turn up. You know what I mean?
I would say Chelsea. I think Chelsea are a problem right now.
Yeah, but you got an agenda there because you like your G Potter, innit? You think the sun shines out of his seat back thing.
G Potter's got a ridiculous record against.
I know. I'm trying to look at the Arsenal fixtures actually.
So we got Southampton next, then Forest, then we got Chelsea, then we got Wolves in the Premier League. And then after that, we got West Ham and Brighton. And
probably the Chelsea one. Probably the Chelsea game. Southampton's going to be tricky because they're away.
Yeah.
Because we're away. And didn't they get a result the other day?
West Ham. Yeah.
West Ham. And you know what I mean? They're no pushovers, you know, and you don't know what. So they're not. And we saw that last season when we went there, when we needed to, and we were playing well and you had a good side.
There's a different scenario surrounding them now. So with Ralph Hasenhutl's job is in jeopardy, and he might lose it by the time we get there.
Yeah, but after that 9-0, it was in jeopardy. And what did he do? He got the team galvanized and got them to win.
But that was only because of one result. He was in jeopardy.
Admittedly, but it still was. You don't know what was going on. It's still a result that people would have been screaming for.
This is the two youngest teams in the league, right? And this youngest team is at the bottom. So we know more than anyone, right, about how youth is about confidence. and
like I said to you, it depends on what Southampton turns up.
We'll move them aside.
Oh, I'm not doubting you. But again, going back to this Leeds game, I think the beauty of it is that we got out there we scraped out there with a win, and it will avoid us from complacency. Them brothers would have been looking like, see what happens when our levels drop. See what can happen till we can get turned over. So let's not drop our levels. And man like Zinchenko and man like Jesus and man like Arteta will be hammering home that point.
Right.
But yeah, I think Chelsea, you're right. Chelsea is the...
We got to keep going. We got to keep going.
Go.
So can you guys talk about Nuno? I can't see a way back for him. He's playing left wing back out on loan. That isn't helping his Arsenal career. And he's seeing what Arteta wants from left back. He doesn't fit the profile. Thoughts? I agree. I don't think he has got a future here, but I think he'll make us a lot of money going forward. With Tierney, with Zinchenko in the side, it's going to be difficult for him to get back. Would you agree or disagree, Will?
100%. It's a win-win. If the better he's playing out there, drags his price up.
Yeah.
We've moved on for him, like Oba. I don't think he fits our profile, and what he's been saying kind of just put the final nails in his coffin for his Arsenal career.
Definitely. Spot on. Who has been Arsenal's worst first team player this season? Oh, this is a difficult one.
It's hard to say because everybody's levels are, if you just took it on a one game thing, then you could pick anyone.
Yeah.
After this game.
Interesting.
I suppose it's who's been at the lowest level consistently because they've all been good.
Do you know what? Sambi Lokonga. And he had a very good game against Aston Villa, and he was good against Bodo Glimt. But compared to the rest of the squad, I don't think he's, he hasn't moved the needle from last season.
Yeah, true. That's a really good shout. Who I had in mind was Tierney, but only because of the levels of expectation that you have from them. I'd say Tierney, but Sam, I can't. If it went to VAR, they put it this way, with your shout, they wouldn't take that to VAR because
it's too.
They're not overturning it. Yeah, they're not overturning that one.
Exactly. Or if you could play one left back for the remainder of your games, who would it be? I'm going Tierney. Yeah, because of just balance.
Is the worst question.
Just pure balance. That's why. Like I would trust. Yeah, like I would trust Tierney in more games than Zinchenko and Tomiyasu. No disrespect to Zinchenko or Tomiyasu, but I'm saying for every game, Tierney would give you a decent. Like, there's not a game where I would say I'm a bit worried about Kieran Tierney here. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Zinchenko, defensively, going that way, he against the Mo Salah, would roast him still. But I think he'd give us a higher level in certain other games than what Kieran Tierney would. But yeah, so Kieran Tierney, because he bridges the gap a little bit.
Because this is, I hate how, because this is probably the hardest question that he's posed so far. I'd say Tommy, because Tommy is is it mean or median level?
Yeah.
No, I can't remember. Yeah.
I think Tierney.
Because
I get you saying.
No, because I think Tommy gives you almost equally as much defensively as Tierney, because one-on-one defending, there ain't no one better in our team. You know what I mean? Or there's very few better. Yeah. Maybe Saliba, because he's composure. But Tommy's got that as well. Going forwards, Tommy is closer to Zinchenko than Tierney is. I think, because he's got a range of passing and all the rest of it. So because Tommy is the balance between the two of them, I take Tomiyasu. If we keep Ben White right back.
All right. We've got a few more coming. This is one of the last ones from Know How. If I was an Arsenal fan, this was the one that you mentioned earlier. Yeah. My biggest fear of the season and thing would keep me up at night would be the World Cup. That could potentially derail the whole thing. I actually think it could be the opposite effect.
Yeah.
I think it would be the break that we need and the break that we deserve. Because Man City are going to have more players go to the World Cup than us. Liverpool are going to have more players that go to the World Cup than us because our players are still very young. Spurs, and it's mainly because of the profile of these like players in terms of their age and those things. Like Martinelli, if he goes to the World Cup, he ain't
playing every game. Yeah,
he ain't getting a game. Apart from the third match where you've already qualified and that.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Or someone gets injured.
I mean, they've still got Rafinha, Vinicius, and
I know.
ridiculous amounts out there. So and they love Richarlison in at Brazil, and then Gabriel Jesus, Firmino, whatever, etc.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking actually, our only starter is Saka.
Yeah, and even he doesn't always start.
Yeah. And maybe Xhaka, maybe Partey.
I mean, Partey definitely,
Partey definitely. I actually, I agree with you. I actually think win or lose, if we win, they'll be buzzing. If we lose, they'll want to come back and prove something in an Arsenal shirt. So, and you made a fantastic point there that I'm actually more worried about, or if I was another supporter, I'd be more worried with other teams like the Spuds. Tottenham have got Kane is going to be playing pretty much every game. Son's going to be playing pretty much every game. Richarlison's going to be playing most games.
Every game they're starting, they're loving
every game. Their keeper, is going to be playing, and Romero, I kind of struggle because I really, other than them big names, I don't really know. I don't look at the top. Perisic, all them kind of man who are first teamers for them, and they haven't got, and the drop off is huge after them. They're going to be playing all them games. So, you made a great point.
Exactly. Who is better, Saka or Martinelli? Saka, in my opinion, says M. Saka for me.
Yeah, it has to be Saka.
And
Martinelli's coming up on the rails really fast. Yeah. There's a horse race. It'd be. I love my sports analogies, but if he's coming out,
it's that there for me, man. With Saka, he's developing that Martinelli. If we're talking about pure like just talent, Martinelli, of course, because I think
even then.
But the reason I'd say that is because Martinelli's a better finisher, right, than Saka.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like left foot, right foot header, bang. Martinelli can do
Saka's
that.
experience up until now, but gives him the edge.
That's because
that's what. You like you say. Yeah.
It's like Ronaldo and Messi.
Hand in hand.
You're building a footballer. You're building Ronaldo over Messi, but Messi he's got ridiculous. Because he's very clever, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, Messi's that one that just plonk. God just went, here you go. There you go. There's a baller. There's a baller. I don't even need to do anything more. There's a baller.
And that's it. And Saka's ridiculous in his decision making. He's better than Martinelli's for me.
Saka's playing 2-3 years above his age.
Yeah. And so is Martinelli because they're
don't get me wrong, but
that's what's really improving with Martinelli this season. But Saka's decision making, since he was in this side, was elite. Like
it's ridiculous.
He was playing left back at 17, and getting assists with Trent and De Bruyne. Man, come on, man, Deb.
Aled, my boy,
is Aled in here? Big up my brother. Look at that.
Tereak
and Wilfred, hope you're doing well, boys. Important win for you guys yesterday. 6-pointer after.
Yes.
See, he doubted you. He doubted you, guys. Alan, remember where your bread is buttered. Yeah, remember. He said,
"Man, at least you're safe from relegation now. You pulled yourself clear of that relegation dogfight."
Oh man, big up yourself there, Alan. Man, this is what we like to see. And the last question. Do you think the mentality thing might be a reason we didn't go for Tielemans?
There's honestly, I think the questions that have been popped off in tonight's show have been the best that we've ever had on the level and the consistency of them. like this Arsenal team. Wow.
I'd say yeah.
I've always thought we'd dodge a bullet with Tielemans. You know that you were banging on about Tielemans, and this is where you got to give me props, because you lot was banging on about Tielemans and stuff, and I wasn't sure about him, and I was like, if we'd wanted him, we would have gone for him early doors, shut it out, done with. So they've obviously seen something, and you can see in his mentality at Leicester, because Maddison has been their shining light, and he's had the same kind of interest from other teams, and if anything, he's upped his level, whereas Tielemans has been pretty much non-existent.
Exactly.
So yeah, 100%.
Exactly that there. And just going through the last couple of comments from my brother Aled right there. He says, I think Saka at the moment, I think at the rate Martinelli is developing, the sky's the limit for him. It's ridiculous. 4 million is criminal. Yeah, it's like 4 to 6, whatever it is.
Yeah, 6 million it was. It was 6 million, I've heard it said. And we've had a lot of bargains. And I've said it earlier, I can't think of a better front three. Even Man City they kind of got Foden and Haaland, but front three.
Yeah. We'll get there. I don't think we're there yet, but we'll get there.
At this moment in time, I think we have the best front three. I'm talking this moment.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I think those conversations will start to prop up towards the end of this season if we can keep this consistency up, because I do think you're right. We do have that level. We are at that level at the moment.
And this is what I'm saying at the moment, because you can't argue that we're top of the league. And why are we the top of the league? Because of our front three.
Well, yeah, a lot more than that. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's true. But I mean, the fear factor comes from our front three. If you ask any manager in the league, and you said to them, you went to them saying now, which team's front line do you fear the most? Because I mean, when Liverpool was doing it, all right, they only won one title and stuff, but they still had to, with Mane, Firmino and Salah, and then later Jota and all the rest of it. You still went, that's the best front three.
Yeah, I hear that. You know them lot. They'll say something else though. Okay, you know.
Yeah, right. They can, but they've been saying that for decades.
Let's be real though, Wilf. Their front three is the reason why they're even a few points behind us. Nothing else.
And look what happened when they played us.
Yeah, that's because the whole team's trash. Apart from that,
no, but that's what I was saying to you, Dave.
Them guys.
I disagree with that, because they had that front three playing and they couldn't turn up on the day.
They didn't.
That front three didn't turn up on the day.
Yeah, but that's because it's a team performance, though, isn't it? That's why our team's amazing.
I get that.
This is the best way now. The best way, if you was to do a combined 11 with Arsenal and Tottenham players, I guarantee you there's more Arsenal players, and it's not.
Oh, we're doing 100%
with most people, because we have a better team than them.
Yeah, of course.
The only reason they even finished above us, why is it, bro? We know it. Come on. It's because of that front three.
But if we had a combined 11, there'd be no Ndombele this time, right?
Yeah. But that front three is the only reason they are within a shout of
right. The
top
reason
four.
Right. This is why I say this now. Yeah, when they were attacking, they attacked with them that front three, and they didn't do anything. And that's not the rest of the team. Take out the rest of the team. When they were going forward with them front three, if they'd had Kulusevski, then things might have been different. If you look at our front three going through and their front three going through, ours were always going to be effective. Each and every one of them clicked that day.
Yeah.
Whereas Son's passing was off, Richarlison's passing was off, Kane was non-existent. Yeah. That's not the team. That's because when they got the ball, they did nothing with it.
Yeah, but that's because they're solely reliant on that. They don't have a midfield that can touch us. They don't even have a defense.
I'm not arguing with that 100%. I'm not arguing with that.
A front three against a whole back line and then a midfield is difficult.
Yeah.
That's why, bro, the only reason they're even a relevant team right now is because of that front three.
But I think you just illustrated my point there, because they are built on that back 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, and we tore them apart.
Yeah.
So arguably, their back line is close, if not as good as ours, because you look at their defensive record, and that's what Conte builds his stuff on. Yeah. Organization, regardless of whether you think they're man for man, they're better, but their organization and that's what's won them games. Their back line is what's won them games more than their front line. Yeah, because they've managed to keep people out.
But the only reason they can play those tactics is because of that front three. Come on, bro. Let's be honest. I know you're not going to say it because it's Spurs.
I'm not. I'm talking long term. And on paper, they are the best. I'm talking current form.
Wilf,
I'm talking current.
No, you've just said long term, and now you're saying current form. This is what I'm saying.
That was what I said the whole time. At this moment in time, we have the best front three in the league.
Okay, that's what I was saying. But I said if you're choosing it on any given Sunday, right? Who's picking that front three? They're picking 2 Spurs players right now. Let's be real.
Of course,
Harry Kane and Son.
And then you bring in Jesus on there.
Saka.
And I can't believe you made me say that. I'm going to go and fart.
That's the time to wrap it up, people.
It's been a long one. I have to turn off my camera because I'm going to fart now.
This is the last one now. You ready?
All right.
Klopp, Eric Ten Hag, Arteta, who is given the harder time by their fans? Arteta, man. Come on. Arteta all day.
Hands down.
Yeah. Eric Ten Hag, though, I think he will get it. He will get it. Klopp, though, he's he ain't gonna get that.
Again, Klopp had it when he first come in. That first season when he was looking at what he had, he was like, he was getting crap. Ten Hag, it's more the board that they're after rather than him. Then people are more sorry for him. Arteta has had it from day one. He still has it now. There's still an element of Arteta out fans now when we're top of the league, we're top of both competitions that we're in, and people are still going, he needs to go, and he's this and he's that, and he's. To be honest, even Oli had it easier than Arteta. You know what I mean? Even towards the end of his reign, he
was a legend, isn't it?
Because he was a legend. Yeah, Arteta hands down. There's no argument about it.
But guys, we are going to wrap it up now. I've got an early start in the morning. People, it's been an absolute pleasure. Wilf, thank you for joining me, my brother.
As always, once again, shows get better and better.
Exactly.
To everybody in the chat, you've been smashing it. You've been smashing it.
Exactly. It's thanks to you guys as well, each and every one of you. Know how absolutely on fire today.
Oh, point. Questions. Yeah. No, I was going for the Ballon d'Or of questions.
The Ballon d'Or in the chat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Exactly. Big up yourself, Know How. And just as we used to say, Know How, don't forget to like the stream because it's just the same as taking your shoes off when you're stepping on somebody's yard. It's out of respect. It's out of respect. But now, big up yourself, people. Hey, keep King in your best wishes. He seems like he's coming up with a cold. That's why he wasn't able to join us for the last hour and a bit. So man.
Bless
send out love to King, man. Hopefully he's all right. And it's only the king ain't down. You know what I mean? No. We may have lost the Queen, but the King.
But the King ain't. The King ain't dead.
Exactly. Love to you all, people. We are out and peace. Guess what, though? Where are we?
Top of the league.